So much people are going to want to hear about.
I've got so much to say.
Lingering questions. We've got to talk about Charlottesville, your new gig at CRTV.
Yes.
So many things happening and so much that people want me to ask you about. The first question, though, of course, is, do fat girls deserve love?
Well, that's a good question. We need to get parameters on what fat is. I've always said you have to pay your waist tax. So your ass could be this big.
Yes.
If the waist is, and Puerto Ricans do this all the time. They'll have an ass this big and they're not fat.
But they're just thick
they're just
with
voluptuous.
2 C's.
Yes.
Thick with 2 C's.
But if we're talking about when they get that thing where there's a butt on the front and there's an actual crack in the belly.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry.
No, they don't deserve love. Okay. Why do some men like fat women?
I think men have very low standards, and we're told that we're these horrible people, and we give these women these unachievable body images that they just can't ever maintain.
It's not true, because
you'll go to Walmart, you'll see a woman who's a bowling ball with a face on the top and 2 shoes on the bottom, and she's got a man.
And 6 kids.
And 6 kids.
Yeah.
We will basically screw anything that moves. But the funny thing about these fatties, too, is they go, oh, you don't think I deserve to live? Well, tell you what, I deserve to live. And I go, first of all, we're joking about the no love. Secondly, I never talked about you not deserving to live. I don't give a shit what you do.
As long as I don't have to pay for your gastric bypass.
Yeah, I'm just telling you that you're dying. But you're mad at me and you think I want to, like, the genocide of fat people? You guys are doing a great job of your own genocide.
You're killing yourself perfectly well
you got it all wrapped up there.
With the help, by the way, of corporate America.
Yeah.
JCPenney. Did you see that video? It was like 6 months ago.
Stunning.
JCPenney, these huge ham beasts like lumbering through life, and we're the hateful ones because we need to be educated into fat positivity. You know, fat acceptance and body positivity.
They're so cruel to themselves.
But the scary thing isn't just these damaged people getting themselves into serious trouble with big health complications. It's the complicity of corporate America, encouraging their own customers to die earlier, to die sooner.
It's almost like heroin chic. Like someone saying heroin
But at
looks
least people
hot.
looked better in
look
clothes.
But that would, if you had a Lancome campaign and it was called heroin chic, that would be unethical. And this is exactly what they're doing. And it gets to the point where I saw this video where the woman said, they don't think that we're beautiful, watch this. And she dressed up like Beauty from Beauty and the Beast. And she had the ribbons on. And you thought, the cruelest frat on earth
would never
in the 70s would never do this. Like dress you up and go, hey, look at this. We got a beauty over here. What do you parade around for us, beauty? Like, it's so mean.
This is something I've observed. However mean we are about the feminists, the social justice warriors, the lunatics of Black Lives Matter, we don't scratch the surface of what they do to themselves.
We're sweeties.
We are.
I mean,
I've always thought of you as adorable. I think
you're
like a lovable uncle.
We want to snuggle. We want to cuddle. But then you come to New York and these women say the filthiest things in bed and they say, choke me and all this horrible stuff. And you go, all right, one in Rome.
Yeah.
But it's not our nature as straight men anyway. I don't know what you guys get up to, but our nature is loving, guys. Like, we don't want to hurt anyone. The ones who wanted to hurt people are extinct. But we keep getting this double standard where, oh, you're man-spreading. And I look on the train today and I see a woman with 3 purses and shopping bags next to her on the subway. And I think,
fem-spreading.
You're lying about us.
Yeah, no, of course. Which is nothing like the public health risk that fem-steering represents.
Oh, my God. I get jealous of Saudi Arabia sometimes, although I think they just blew it. Yeah.
It was the only good thing about Islam. It was the only thing they had going for them.
Sitting in the passenger seat of a woman driving is a form of torture. Because you're watching cars pass you in the slow lane and you're looking over at her going, do you not see what I see? You're supposed to feel shame when people pass you in the slow lane. You're supposed to get over it.
I was going to ask you about this later.
Okay.
But since we're on the subject, you in another life you could have been a jihadi. If you take your
there's so much good stuff they do. I don't like seeing all these beautiful women in New York. It ruins your whole day because you think, what if I had her?
So they're right about that.
They should.
They're right about
up. You get too horny.
So you agree with the Islamic perspective on?
I agree with all of it. I'm pro-Sharia. That they do too much of this in Sharia. Don't get this constantly in your ear. And the rape thing. Like, look at Mattress Girl. We never would have had to deal with Mattress Girl with Sharia.
And of course, you can have a harem. You can
oh my God, 6 wives. Get out of here. Go put your hijab on.
I'd always suspected this about you.
Yeah.
Always suspected this about you. Okay, fine.
I actually did that at a Sharia march. I said, let's cut this shit here. on the podium. I talked about driving and everything. And no one was getting it because you can't do sophisticated irony at a march. It has to all be Hitler talk.
I've tried.
America is the greatest and we will dominate the world. Ah!
People don't come for subtlety.
Yeah,
they just want to get fired up and smash something.
Them, us, yeah.
All right, let's talk about more substantial things, and we'll come back to the misogyny and Sharia later. First of all, just going back, by now everybody knows that you were one of the founders of Vice.
Yes.
You sort of invented, well, you did invent hipster.
I created it.
Okay, you invented hipsterism.
Yes.
Why did you do that?
It wasn't a pre-formulated plan. I'm just a very dynamic person. I'm almost like the prophet. And so whenever I focus on something, it just becomes a thing.
Right.
Like even when I was a teenager, I got into punk. I said, let's start bands. Then there was a phenomenon, and it was our band, and people knew the words, and we had followers. And I've always had this sort of, not Messiah complex, Messiah tendency.
Yes.
And so with the hipsters, we're just goofing around. We had to have fashion in the magazine because that pays the bills. And I thought, I cannot do fashion shoots. I find them physically painful. They're worse than being in the passenger seat when a woman's driving. So I said, okay, we'll just do comedy. We'll make fun of people's pants. And then by proxy, you end up defining what is a good look. And then that's what subculture is. It's 90% the outfits. So the next thing you know, hipsters are a thing.
I see.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I think you have come.
You invented gays.
Sound gays, proper gays, nice gays, gays that vote Republican.
Yeah, gay-servatives.
I like that. But I have a couple very serious questions.
Okay,
but
sorry.
We're gonna struggle. We're gonna struggle. I was gonna ask you. You're now at CRTV.
Yes.
Your previous show,
the Gavin Mcinnes show.
Yes, which was at the. I don't remember the name of the network, but you were mad at me for a while.
I was furious.
Tell us what happened, because
I'll say this to 1 million people and they'll all agree with me. You were on my show when you were just a guy who came back from the gym, the Gamergate guy. I was screaming from the top of every mountain, you got to check out this Milo dude. Skypity, Skype. You come too big for Skype. That's totally understandable. And then you come to New York, you're at the studio and you go, who should I do? My close friend Gavin, that I've spoken to 1 million times. Or some greasy Dago wop named Anthony Cumia, his boss. I'll appear on that show first.
I would like to clarify. By the way, I invite you to everything I do. I mention you constantly in interviews.
Okay.
It was not intentional. I didn't.
I don't like that excuse. My Little League coach said that about my son the other day. He said, hey, I'm sorry we were late. It wasn't on purpose. And I go, what kind of asshole coach shows up late and goes, yeah, I'm late. Anyone got a problem with that, you stupid kids?
I should have just done it. Okay, well, allow me to apologize.
Apology accepted.
What can I do to make it up to you?
We're done. We're good.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah, Scottish people, the previous
some
generation...
kind of self-flagellation?
I just need like 7 months to get over something. And
you had some months.
Because people are usually over you by the time. So you come out of hiding.
And they're like, sorry, who are you?
Yeah, you come out of the cave, you roll the boulder back.
They're like, I've forgiven you now. Yeah. I'm sorry, who are you?
Yeah, what was that in Withnail and I when Uncle Monty says, I'm preparing myself to forgive you. They're like, screw you, I don't want you back in my life. I've moved on. Oh, all right, well I'm here if you need me.
Never going to happen between us.
Great.
Now, you were there, now you're CRTV.
Yes.
You've had problems with advertisers in your career.
Yeah, an infinite number of times.
To put it mildly.
Well, that was the business plan of Vice.
Right.
I thought editorial and marketing should always be at odds. Because as soon as they comply with each other, you've lost the validity, you've lost the authenticity. Mm-hmm. And now you're just an advertorial.
But we're now in a marketplace where conservatives effectively just can't be advertised on.
No.
It's like you can't do it at Breitbart. You can't do it. I mean, what's that thing? The elephants or something? The
red elephants?
No, there's a hippos or elephants. There's a Twitter account that goes after Breitbart's advertisers. You know about that?
Okay.
and like thousands of them have gone. If you are to the right of Jane Fonda, you run the risk of being boycotted by these leftist mobs,
yes.
right? How you're the other person in conservative media in this sort of new popular cool subculture thing that's bubbling up right now. I think we're the only two who are not only interesting and funny and charismatic and have big followings, but we've also run our own businesses, which I don't think any of our peers have done.
Right.
We both still have let's say, commercial skin in the game in addition to just being entertaining for a living? What's the answer?
Work. I mean, I've lost tens of millions over the year. I had an entire ad agency shut down for
this was Rooster, right?
Rooster.
Because you said so. Was it the trans thing?
I said trans people are mentally ill gays. You're not a woman. You're just a gay guy who has head problems.
And aren't we all transphobic? Which
yes,
you wrote that for Thought
that.
Catalog, right?
Yes.
Isn't everybody transphobic? Which seems to me to be fairly self-evident.
Well, I used the example of your dad. And you go home for Thanksgiving, your dad has no penis and a dress on. He's like, "Hi, kids." And we all go, "Hi, new mom. What do you want to go play tennis, new mom?" Like, no. Everyone would go, "Ah!" They'd be bawling their eyes out, but they see it on TV and they pretend.
Unless you have a syndicated reality show, in which case, yeah.
Even like look at Jeffrey Tambor in Transparent. That's hilarious. That has been funny from the beginning of time. I'm sure cavemen put hay on their heads and said, "Hello, I'm a cave lady," and everyone laughed. Right up till like 3 years ago, and now we look at Jeffrey Tambor and go, "You look marvelous."
No, we suddenly have to lie that oh, you're beautiful and brave, stunning and brave. We know.
My mom has a hen night where all the Scottish moms come over and they get shit-faced, and my dad will come down with like her hat on and lipstick on.
Yep.
They are delirious with laughter, like their makeup is pouring down their face. And the idea that would happen and the woman would go, "Hello, Jamzea, Jimmy Leah."
What's your drag name?
He doesn't have one. He's not that committed to the cause yet. Okay. He didn't know it had become normalized.
Okay.
But my point is, sorry, that agency was shut down. You know, Can't Work at Vice, had a whole comedy career that was shut down. Movies shut down. Can't do anything creative. Can't get any sort of comedians on my show. And you keep becoming a leper again and again and again, and they keep spreading. But when you keep working and you keep creating quality content that's honest, the market corrects itself. And I think right now we're in a rough point with the adpocalypse on YouTube and everything. But the demand is much bigger than the supply. So in a country where Fox News is the only mainstream conservative place, the country's always going to be 50-50, but you have 80% liberal. The pendulum has to swing back. And if you just keep plugging away, you can ride that pendulum like Miley Cyrus in the Wrecking Ball video.
Yeah.
Nude.
Well, I think you're no stranger to public nudity.
Oh, no. Well, today actually is the first day you'll be able to see Uranus with normal eyes.
Oh, with the naked eye.
Yeah.
I have seen it previously.
Oh, really?
With the naked eye.
Well, it's a very rare occurrence, and it can be a beautiful, incredible thing if you're lucky.
He FaceTimed me from behind, so
I think we might be talking about different things.
I'm going through.
Sorry.
I'm going through something of the same on my tour at the moment.
Oh,
we have a new tour coming up.
Yeah.
So we had 2 venues cancel: Kansas City, Missouri, right, and then Chicago.
Chicago's a doy.
Well, we're very happy to go to Chicago, create jobs. It's not like they don't need it. And these venues who have contracts with us are canceling because of a few blue-haired losers on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's absolutely remarkable. I mean, and the thing is, there's got to become a breaking point at some point, because we're not like troublemakers, like rabble-rousing in the streets. We sell tickets. Like, my Australia tour is going to sell out. It's going to make a lot of money for everybody involved. This is a commercially. I mean, it's not like Amy Schumer desperately trying to fill a stadium and giving away tickets. Whoever's on the street, sending out 50 people in the street saying, "You want to come see Amy Schumer tonight?" It's like we actually sell out. And this, I suppose, is what happened to people like Marilyn Manson in the 90s. Post-Columbine.
Yeah, remember the PMRC was big with Al Gore's wife, Tipper Gore?
It's going to make money, but nobody will let him play. This is in the 90s and the early 2000s. It's like you can sell this stadium out and you won't let me play.
It becomes the Streisand effect, where for your audience who's not familiar with that, she didn't want her vacation home shown. She sued the celebrity magazine that released the pictures, and everyone had to see it. Now everyone knows what it's like. Look at Richard Spencer in Florida. I think it's today. They spent, I believe, $500,000. The state is in a state of emergency, and there's these cement pillars that are, in 8-foot sections going down the road. All you're doing there is making his toxic alt-right ideology very sexy to young rebels.
Very much so, which is why I object to him so much, because he is wrong about things, and I don't like the race stuff he does, but he makes us, it's like people put us in the same bucket. And it's interesting, though, to me, how is it that every college talk that I try to stage seems to get called off, but Richard Spencer's fine? Richard Spencer has microphones like shoved in his face. They're desperate. No, but they're desperate to make him a star. They're desperate to make him a star. Why? Because he proves their thesis that there is some kind of resurgent white nationalist movement in America. I try to speak on campus. No journalist will show. Like, the whole thing. The whole thing doesn't happen, and it's very unless something is going wrong. It's very remarkable to me how Richard Spencer seems to be so beloved by the media. I mean, remember all those profiles that talks about him as being dapper and well-dressed and well-spoken? It's just astonishing to me that they will focus attention on the genuinely bad actors and then play these dirty games with people like us.
Well, it's confusing.
Not to play the victim, because I'm doing fine.
But I did an interview with NBC yesterday for 2 hours, and what they do, it's like Stalin. They talk
grill
to you
for 2 hours
until you're falling over from exhaustion, and you have to pee. So you're about to pee your pants.
I'll say anything.
And they're like, "Are you racist?" I'm not a Nazi. And they go, "Whoa, someone doth protesteth too much." And
then there'll be like 2 hours of setup, and it'll cut to you going, "I'm not a Nazi."
But you go. I said to this woman yesterday, I go, "Your bad guys are everywhere, by the way. Like the people on the far right, the alt-right, would be happy to talk to you, and they say what they mean.
Yeah.
We say what we mean too.
But they
instead,
don't believe
you assume we're lying, and then page through something where someone you met talked to someone else and clicked like on Facebook. That's one I actually got.
Yeah.
And I go, why are you digging through trying to find something when I'm right here?
Just ask me.
Yeah.
I have enough opinions you'll hate that you can write about.
I said that verbatim.
But I'll tell you.
I'm an Islamophobe. I'm a xenophobe. I'm pretty darn sexist. Go jump on that.
It's like I did a book study the other day in Orlando, and I was like, they call me a homophobe, they call me a white nationalist, they call me a racist, they call me a transphobe. Only transphobe is true. And it's like, no, nothing.
It's bizarre, and I think there's a lot of layers to this, and sometimes I get lost. I call myself an anti-Femite, because you know the way anti-Semites will think Jews
I don't
are
think that's going to catch on.
Everything.
You think
but I
feminists
can
are
get
behind
paranoid,
everything?
and I'm like, women are doing this. They're behind the scenes.
Women, it's lesbians.
Maybe lesbians. Like these things that shut down your talks, right?
They're all lesbians. I'm currently writing a very long essay. We might turn it into a little booklet. How lesbians ruined everything. And it's about
it is suspicious.
Culture. Look, think about the academy, journalists. It's everything. When you start
too, though. I was undercover for joined BLM for James O'Keefe. Mm-hmm. I was a punk British kid, old man, and they have their beautiful little placards, right? All the signs, and it was people who died from police violence. Of course, they don't mention that these people were trying to kill a cop by charging him with a car or something. Yeah. But it's just these poor innocent victims, and they're beautiful, done at Kinko's. And it was all lesbian lawyers hanging out these placards. And I just thought, you're getting the Soros money, spending it at Kinko's, not giving it to any of these people who go get arrested. Yeah. You're the problem. You lesbian lawyers.
How lesbian lawyers ruined everything. No, but you look at gender studies departments,
Yeah.
It's like dyke, divorcee, dyke.
Well, I also have a problem with these. Every time I get investigated, it's some spinster with dried up ovaries who wants to say, this sexist pig says my dog mom life sucks. But that is too obvious. Yeah. So they'll go, this guy's a Nazi. And then they get to attack me for something that they don't really believe, but they're not being as transparent about their motive. And I think, so your journalism piece here is all about revenge and spite. Why'd you choose this profession? You don't belong in it.
Yeah. I have a saying, one of my favorite coinages of mine.
Classic me.
Yeah. That is like so me. That is like classic me. That is like gold-plated me. Everyone who hates me is ugly. And it's a golden rule I have discovered. When you look in the media, look at the pictures of the professors, look at the pictures of the journalists.
Well, it reeks of bias everywhere, because I was realizing this today. No man who's married with kids has ever done a hit piece on me. Every time a man with kids has written an article about me, it's been reasonable and fairly true.
That's interesting.
But it's spinsters, feminists, and beta males.
We should start having rules for interviews. You can only interview me if you're married. No single people. Yeah. No single, miserable 30-year-old women living on their own in New York in apartments they hate with cats they wish were dead. You can't interview me.
It's a litmus test that would work. Like Ann Coulter says, let's have an app for immigration where you have to speak English. And if it understands you, you're in. That sounds silly, but it would work.
No, so when you come over and you drive an Uber, you're good.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? I don't think he'll mind me saying this. My husband, who is black,
black as coal.
Well, no, not really. But
black as chocolate.
Blackish.
Orange chocolate.
Yeah, like Terry's chocolate orange.
Yeah.
Okay. It was banned from Uber last week.
Oh.
Because he complained about not being able to understand Spanish drivers.
What a racist.
Right? No. I cannot understand. They show up late. They don't know where they're going. On the app, it said Marisol was coming, and it was some dude. And he said, I'm pretty sure this isn't a trans thing. I think they're just like sharing their account or whatever, which is presumably not allowed. It's like they have this sort of site, like one of them will sleep while the other two are driving Ubers, you know?
Yeah, they do that in yellow cab days in New York.
Right, because of the badges, you know?
Right.
And I cannot make myself understood. They don't know where they're going. They don't understand GPS. They barely understand the Uber app. I just don't get it. And I was an hour late for work. They banned him because his name sounds like he could be white. And I don't think they didn't know. So they were just like, oh, this is just Trump, some Trump supporter being a racist.
This refugee situation is so bad in Britain that as a free market libertarian who always wants the free market to win, when I heard Uber was being shut down, I went, good. Because it wasn't working over there because they were Muslims who were kicking out people for bringing seeing eye dogs. Mm-hmm. They were refusing, and they do this in New York too, refusing to take people who have booze, refusing to put booze in the trunk, and accosting
like in shopping
people.
Bags.
Yeah, they were accosting Cowlin Robertson. They're accosting Tommy Robinson because they saw them as anti-Muslim. And you go, you know what? Let's shut this down. This isn't working. And by the way, in New York,
it's a shame because Uber's the only kind of vaguely sort of ish right-wing tech startup.
Yeah, you know things are bad when right-wingers hate right-wing things.
No, seriously, because Uber is, you should like Uber. We ought to like Uber. Uber is like breaking apart a monopoly that doesn't work, that's crappy. And everyone I know who was like really right-wing and went to work for a management consultancy or got some business degree from the business school at Cambridge, whatever, real like dyed-in-the-wool Tories back in England, they all went to work for Uber. It's like all of the posh, rich right-wingers work at Uber, but the company still can't save itself.
I don't know. Here in New York too, with Uber and with the yellow cabs, everyone is from Lahore, Pakistan, and I know this is going to sound racist, but the smell. I've lived here for 20 years. The smell.
Why stop now?
And I'm like, when I smell bad BO, you were talking earlier about how conservatives have a bad gag reflex. You're putting your rotten cells into my body, so you're raping me with your human waste. And so I go, I'm not paying for this. I try to breathe through my mustache, and I say to the guy, "You smell really bad." He goes, no, it's maybe the previous person. And so I've learned over 20 years in New York City, just the most biting insult that really makes him mad. And it doesn't sound insulting.
Smells like a dog.
You say, you smell like a goat. And they just turn purple with rage. They go, you smell like a goat. That's not a comeback.
Like all the worst insults in the Middle East sound really quaint to us. They're all really
Your
silly.
mother's a donkey's another doozy that makes uncle's a donkey.
You smell like a goat.
Oh, it's really good. They get so mad. Why do I have to breathe like this? Because you don't know what deodorant is.
Yeah. And this, of course, is the sort of...
It sounds terrible, but it's a fact.
Well, it does sound terrible, but then again, like me, in your domestic life, if you don't mind me sharing this, because I know you talk about this in your show. You are what do they call us? They call us race mixers in the alt-right, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, you are. You are in your domestic life.
I think you have to make cookies in order for it to be considered a mix.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. So I don't count.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they.
You're a race fraternizer or something. But yeah, I made a bunch of ethnic-looking American Indian children. But that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to mention that. How desperate they are for villains. That they go, Ben Shapiro's a Nazi. Alan Dershowitz is a Nazi. Yeah. Milo Yiannopoulos, whose mother's Jewish and is married to a black man, is a racist,
is a white supremacist.
White supremacist. Gavin Mcinnes is a racist. And you're like, so I actually had an argument with Talib Kweli about this, the
rapper. Is he a real thing? Because his Twitter account is so funny. No, but it's got to be performance art.
Where he's fuckboy and stuff.
No, I know, but it's got to be performance art. I don't believe he's real.
That's as good a theory as any.
I don't believe he's real because he'll say things like suspected white supremacist, and then there'll be loads of crazy names afterwards. You know, like, yeah. I think it's all a joke.
Well, I said I didn't bring this up because it's dirty pool, but someone else goes, he's not married to a white person, right? And he goes, that's not uncommon, where racists will marry a visible minority out of spite.
Out of spite.
What? So you're just sitting there having your coffee in the morning going, you look at you with your nappy hair. And she's like, can we, it's been 13 years we've been married. Can you move on? Trying to eat my Cheerios. Yeah, you gobble up those Cheerios, you ethnic slur. I don't say those words.
No. Only when they ask nicely and only when only when horizontal. No, but it's funny to me. It is funny. Does your wife work?
No, but sorry, to the previous thing, doesn't it show how desperate they are that they start going, that guy? No, like, clearly you don't have a problem. Then Islam is standing there going, hi, I'm truly homophobic, truly racist, truly sexist.
I have a perfect example of this. It's that we always hate in others what we loathe most about ourselves, right? Yeah. Today, it turns out that Rupert Myers, and if you're watching this, it was Wednesday, Thursday, who cares? Rupert Myers, who is a political correspondent for British GQ. GQ, as you'll know, is very left-wing.
Yep.
Men's fashion magazine. The political correspondent in the UK wrote a feature about me last year about how I was enabling misogyny, all of these woman-hating trolls on the internet. And I happened to mention in passing on Facebook how there were quite a lot of rumors swirling around about this guy in London, about his treatment of women. I was scoffed at by every journalist in the business. He went on this Twitter tirade about defamation. He's a barrister too, by the way. Defamation, all the rest of it. Today, deleted his Twitter account because dozens of women are accusing him of sexual assault. Lost his job at GQ, BuzzFeed's writing a story about it. And it's like, and of course, what was the word in his Twitter bio for 2 years? Can you guess? No, just feminist.
Just feminist.
Feminist. And is it, you see someone describe themselves as a male feminist, start the clock on the rape charge. Just start the clock, because it will be a maximum of 6 months. A maximum of 6 months before they put their hand somewhere or they overstep their bounds, because it's these aggressive public displays of virtue being where the morally deplorable hide.
Katie Hopkins called him Rapenstein, and I thought it was a very negligent move to ignore Rapert.
Rupert Myers.
Yeah, bad move. But you're right, they do, and that is a huge revelation. That's like the penny drops. Because they say things at you that you go, I don't care, like Trump has small hands or a small dick, and you go, why are you talking about it? I don't care.
Yeah.
And you realize, oh, that's what you would care about. Like I just saw this
because that's what you do care about.
Interview Lauren Southern, and he goes, I'm going to trigger her because she's clearly a homophobe who hates everything gay. I'm going to wear a shirt that says queer. And then he puts it on and does his interview like she's going to go, like she's looking at Medusa. And she doesn't even notice. And then you realize, oh, if you were to meet someone with a Trump shirt, you would have a meltdown. So you assume we're all as shallow and fragile as you. Yeah. Now I understand. And that's why they talk about literal genocide all the time. When it's never come out of our mouths, they're the ones who...
It's absolutely true. So to save Western civilization,
yes.
What are the 3 things we need to do?
Grow up, propose, and breed.
Propose as in get married.
Yes, get a ring on it. Sow your wild oats. Don't got a problem with that. But eventually, you're 30 years old. You played video games for 5 hours today. Ladies, you're a dog mommy. And your job is not a real job. You just organize social media and go up to your boss and say, you should shut down this Milo talk or get Gavin fired. That's not a real job. You're just a pain in the ass. You're a gremlin on the wing ripping out the wires. So get out of the cubicle, get back in the kitchen, and make babies. If you're Margaret Thatcher, if you're Barbara Corcoran, by all means, continue. If you're an oncologist, yes, please cure cancer. But you're not. You're just sitting around organizing some strange man's life when you could be creating men with your own man.
I think you... Have you ever considered a job in the Middle East?
They do. They have some enviable traits.
Put you in Doha or.
I want their laws to just magically happen to us. Like the idea of your wife is hidden in a burqa, and I heard that the rich ones, when they get home, they're so annoyed with having to wear a rag all day that they have the Yves Saint Laurent, their hair's all done, and they're walking around vacuuming in stilettos.
Just basically just skinny, hot, rich, so they have great skin, great teeth, great hair, great body, and they're just
lipstick and all dressed up and hi honey, you're home, I miss you, I'm so horny. And I'd be like, whoa, I haven't seen a woman all day. Hello.
Vacuuming in bikinis.
Oh, the 50s must have been heaven. My wife, I have to pay her to wear high heels. And by the end of the night, she's like, we got to get home. My dogs are barking. I saw a woman at the train station today, too, taking them off and putting on sneakers.
Oh, yeah.
She was done work. And I was like, it's like a breast reduction. please stop. Please stop taking away the beauty in the world.
What can we do to help stay-at-home dads?
The acronym is APT, is it not? SAHD. Ooh. You know, those guys don't get filleted. You don't. A woman does not bust her ass in a pantsuit all day and come home to a guy in a bathrobe with a beard who made lasagna and say, "I'm horny. Get upstairs."
No.
It should feel unnatural though. It should feel like you're in the passenger seat when a woman's driving. It should just feel wrong. Like I've tried that a few times, and
being
I go,
in the
pull
passenger
over.
seat. Yeah, no, pull over. We got to swap.
And these men who just cook and clean all day. I mean, it's wrong. And I don't understand why it doesn't make them feel uncomfortable. That's what we need to do. And the way to do that is to get over shame. We live in shame culture, and men have been taught to hate themselves. So it starts in kindergarten when they get penalized for being boisterous. Mm-hmm. And by the time they get to college, I don't know if you've seen this, but when they're in class, they'll get up and say, "Hi, I just want to acknowledge that I'm speaking from a position of privilege, and obviously my experience doesn't have the same merit that someone else." And it's this caveat that
I just like to be a really good ally, and actually, with all of that said, I don't have anything to add because my lived experience has and then they'll sit down without actually having said anything, but signaling to everybody that they're really, really good people.
Yeah, it'd be great if after that big disclaimer he said, "Don't a lot of women orgasm from rape, though?" The whole class would just go. I actually did that at NYU. I finally got the mic, pepper spray still in my eyes. My eyes look like babies' vaginas. And I'm there with these puffy eyes. I can't see the audience. And I started out and I said, "There are 3 problems with America today. The woman, the Negro, and the Jew." And and everyone in the audience just went, including the protesters. And I went, "Just kidding. Obviously, just kidding." But I go, that ogre that I just presented to you is who everyone outside is protesting. That guy doesn't exist. Yeah. That's why your jaws are dropping right now, because you are pretending that guy is me or that guy exists, and you don't even believe it.
No, although some of them are obviously sincere, or they wouldn't put themselves into...
I don't know, man.
You don't know?
I mean, Nazis, no KKK. Some of these... If the KKK were to gallop up to one of these things where they're screaming that and go, "You're saying we got to get out of here?" Clup, 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 with their hoods on. They wouldn't go, "Yeah, we're sick of you guys." They'd go, "What the fuck?" An actual Klansman? I've been talking about these guys for years. I didn't know they existed. Yeah. Well, we do. We're out of here. We're sick of terrorizing this Berkeley college.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. We'll take a brief break from that for me to tell you about what is this crap. This is not an ad. This is advertisement for my own products. Watch videos on Milo. No. I'll tell you about something else instead. Pamela Geller.
Interviewed her this morning for my show.
Did you?
Yes.
Did you? Great hero of mine. She's
incredible.
Is so brave, an icon of the counter-jihad movement. All those people have dropped off. Have you noticed that? All those people after 9/11 who were so angry about it, and they were all, all blah, blah, blah. And it's just her, Horowitz, and Robert Spencer left.
That's true.
Know? Everybody else is gone because there's no money in it anymore, or they're not brave enough to keep doing it. And there she is in Garland, Texas,
Well, they end up personifying how bad the media is at their job. The Garland, Texas, if you pick up a lot of news sources, it says, "Muhammad cartoon drawing contest leaves 2 men dead."
Yeah.
And you go,
like these Islamophobes, after they'd finished blaspheming, picked up AK-47s and mowed down, the congregation at the nearest mosque.
Yeah, the implication is she walked through a Muslim part of town picking fights, and eventually someone got stabbed
and died. Yeah. When in actual fact, the FBI knew that this guy was on the way. She told you about this? The FBI,
I said to her, my mind looks like September 12th, 2001 World Trade right now.
Yeah, after what you just told me.
Yeah. They were in the car. Is that correct? They're in the car. They're at the art show. They were having texting correspondence with these guys. Yep. If she hadn't hired her own security,
she'd be
all
dead.
200 people at that thing would be dead, along with her.
Maybe. Yeah.
Where was that in the news?
Well, the guy that conspired to behead her, who's a separate case, I think, was found guilty on all charges yesterday.
Right.
She's so brave. We're publishing her new book, Fatwa.
Fatwa, yes.
Hunted in America.
Pre-ordered it today.
Well, I have one for you as well if you want to read it sooner. A little pre-publication editor's proof thing. But we've taken the decision as the first publisher in America to reproduce the winning cartoon from Garland, Texas.
Right.
So it is in the book.
Right.
Their book's great, by the way. The book's
great. And for the record, That drawing is great. I mean, people.
No, it's clever. It's clever,
and you know, it's an art show that showed the history of.
It's by an ex-Muslim too.
Yes,
like the cartoon.
yes. That art show wasn't just this is a pig and Muhammad and they're taking a dump on him. It was a history of portrayals of Muhammad. That was a Brooklyn
who was that?
Retired fire department guy who lied about a sore back.
Right.
And is now addicted to
I don't think anyone who lives in Brooklyn it just sounds like that anymore.
I'll tell you what, that accent's dying, but it's still around.
It's nice. It's sexy. I kind of like it. Maybe
I like it. It is
Can you just
tough.
stay in that first interview?
All right, no problem. Well, we're on the Bowery here. New York's changed. This used to be, you don't even know. 10 years ago, we'd both be dead right now. We'd have our entrails hanging out. No, but it was a beautiful art show that featured the portrayal of Muhammad throughout the hundreds and hundreds of years and showed how only recently it's become too taboo. That's fascinating. I didn't know that until she spoke.
And you'd never know that from reading any of the stories about it. Nothing. The books, the thing that I really like about the book, by the way, is you and I are kind of hellraisers from birth. It's in our DNA. I don't know what it is. We're born with something wrong in the brain. We just, wanted to fuck up the status quo. We wanted attention. We wanted to break things.
I kicked the doctor in the balls when I was born.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Is that true?
No.
No. Okay. But it's a good story.
Yeah, I'm going to run with it from now on.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. But that's obviously in our DNA. Whereas she kind of got converted. She had this sort of Damascene moment at 9/11. And she was like, what just happened to my country? Who are these people? I thought I lived in the safest country in the world. I thought I took all of my freedoms and privileges for granted. Who are they and what do they want? And she went out and she educated herself. I mean, she's so erudite on this subject. She speaks with more deep and excellent knowledge of this than most college professors on the subject. She went out and she learned everything. And then she started activism, And then she started doing something about it. I thought it was incredible.
And she's got 24-hour guards.
Yeah, her life is
living behind bulletproof glass.
Yep.
And the media's obsession is there's too many Nazis around. We need to watch the Nazis. We need to put Florida in a state of emergency because of Nazis, and the KKK. And you go, what about the bad guys that are terrorizing Pamela Geller for telling the truth?
Yeah. It's like a moral panic, isn't it? It's like acid rain, climate change, campus rape culture. It's a myth, like the female orgasm. It's a
You know how you know when a woman's had an orgasm? Who cares? but
I shouldn't do interviews with you. It just brings out my inner 7-year-old. I even sound like a 7-year-old.
But we are brawlers. But I think that I assume this is true of you. There was definitely a ramping up in 9/11. And I was always an anarchist. I always hated the government. But really on 9/11 and being in New York, being just down the street, not far from here, I used to live up the road. 3 miles away is World Trade.
Yeah.
Going, wait, what have you been doing? And you realize that the lunatics were running the asylum, and we had the DMV in the White House, basically. Incompetent bureaucrats. And now, the beauty of that is it made us curious about everything. And now we look at the media and we go, so what are you doing? And now with the information age, with these young millennials who are now 5 times more conservative than the previous young people and the ones before that, because they have access to all this information. They're peeling back the onion and they're seeing it. They're all incompetent.
You just got to look at the 13-year-old girls who write to me and the 13-year-old boys who post on 4chan, and they really hate BuzzFeed. They hate the lies. They're deeply skeptical of Islam. They don't like feminism. They don't like political correctness. It gives me hope, actually. Because I think there's a whole post-millennial generation coming up of kids who are really woke, And there really is. Speaking of incompetent administrations, how's he doing?
Trump?
Dear Daddy.
I'm still in with Dad.
Yeah?
I have a few minor quarrels.
Okay.
But I'm going to wait.
You weren't worried about the departure of Uncle Steve?
I did not like that, but I'm still hoping that Steve was right when he said I'm going to go focus the fight on the streets that I couldn't do in the White House. I would like to see the swamp drained more. I don't like the son-in-law in there. I don't like the daughter in there.
Javanka.
I would like a wall at some point.
They've got samples now.
I saw the prototypes.
It's like those little bite-sized Mars bars, So you're the little fun-sized Mars bars and Snickers and stuff. You can just try it out.
Oh, they just got to copy Israel's. I was just there, and it is a work of art. Danny Tirza, I met that guy in Israel, the guy who built the Israeli wall, and then at one point he goes, people ask me, why is this part of the wall so ugly? Because he was talking about where it's 9 meters, which is only about 5% of the wall. And I go, Danny, shh, my sweet angel. Put my finger over his lips. This is glorious. It's stunning. It's such an awesome example of male engineering. And the fact, it's 9 meters, by the way, so if you fall, you're not running anywhere, you just broke both your legs.
Yeah.
And it worked. They went from 100 attacks a year, I forget the exact number, but to zero with that wall. So I would like a wall, but I want to try being a sycophant for a while.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I watched the left, I watched all the comedians let Obama literally get away with murder for 8 years. So I'm saving my criticism until he does something really bad.
I like that. Because some of the true believers, some of the people who put him there are starting to lose faith a little bit.
I'm Scottish, I'm very loyal, and I'm focusing on the Dow, I'm focusing on the 800,000 jobs, I'm focusing on the culture.
All I care
Social
about
justice warriors are laughing stocks now.
Well, we did that. We did that over the last year, you know, and Trump's ascendancy is a product of what we've been doing in culture. To be honest, I mean, you should lap up some credit for that because Trump didn't do that. We did that. But
classic me.
Yeah, that is like so totally me.
Oh my God. I'm like looking into a mirror right now. Oh, I am literally looking into a mirror.
Oh, well, I put it there for you in case you get bored with me.
I just keep seeing Sean King's brother, that guy with the orange beard. I look exactly like him.
What's that? What's his name?
The brother's name?
No, there's that wonderful new nickname for Sean King.
Talcum X?
Talcum X?
Yeah, that's a great one. Every time I see him, I look at my computer and I say, black people hate you.
they do. Honestly,
they don't like you.
No, it's a white liberal thing.
Yeah.
And where is he now? He went from New York Daily News to, was it The Intercept or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. The fact that he gets a column after he's been exposed.
Well, because the numbers were so good. I confronted one of the editorial board of the New York Daily News, and I said, how can you have this guy? You know he's a liar. You know he fabricates things. You know he lies about people. You know that his entire existence is a fraud. And he said, if you saw the numbers he brought in, you'd get it. And I said, no, I would not get it. I would have some integrity. And I turned around and walked away because I didn't want to make a scene. It was a friend's book party. But no, they don't give a shit.
He's a British guy, isn't he? The New York Daily News is nothing like the Post. It is way off. No. It's BuzzFeed.
It's absolutely crazy. I want to talk to you briefly about Canada.
Okay. Another canary in the coal mine.
Unfortunately, I like him backtracking. By the way, the cuck in chief over there, Trudeau, is now saying we're going to send everybody back. It's all going to change. You, of course, Canadian-ish.
Yeah, I lived there. I moved there when I was 5 from England. Yeah. And I left there when I was 29. So I was there most of my life.
So there's Lauren, there's you, there's quite a few kind of sound Canadians.
Yeah.
But does the country have any hope? Is Canada lost?
You know, I waver on that quite a bit, and the same is with Britain. Like I would talk, you know, I had a friend whose mother was in 9/11, like in the towers, and he kept looking at me going, she's okay, right? You think she's okay? She did turn out to be okay. But I kept fake smiling at him and going, she's probably fine, dude.
She was getting coffee.
She got out early. And I felt the same when I talked to Tommy Robinson about Britain. I'd go, Tommy, Britain's not lost. It's doing great.
You're going to be fine.
You're going to be fine. Like talking to someone with stage 4 cancer. Although I was there this summer, and I got to say, I saw a lot of Harringtons. I saw a lot of Doc Martens. I saw a lot of pubs. I saw more burqas in New York City, or I should say hijabs, in New York City than I did in London.
That's because you're going to the hipster areas. You're going to like East London or
no,
whatever.
I was with my family. We went to Chelsea. We went to the pods.
They don't live in Chelsea.
We went to Big Ben. Like we were doing all the touristy stuff.
Really?
And I was up in Essex. And I drove around the whole countryside.
Well, they're not in the countryside. No, I mean, if you go to Whitechapel, it looks like a third world. If you go to Knightsbridge, it looks...
long gone.
Right, like Luton, Whitechapel. If you go to Knightsbridge, I mean, there are more burqas there than there are...
Well, my point is that it vacillates and I get pessimistic and then I'll go there and have a totally different experience. So with Canada, and by the way, both these examples, government-funded media, BBC, CBC, and they're both very effective at brainwashing the populace. Although, when I meet some Canadians, they go, this Justin Trudeau is a catastrophe. What have we done?
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm optimistic, sometimes I'm not. But the big picture is those places, Canada and England, represent unbridled tolerance and the rabbit hole of diversity that you get into when you pretend that Islam is compatible with the West. Yep. And it doesn't look good. So although we barely have any Muslims here and Sharia is not going to happen tomorrow, I say just look north and look east and
you don't have to look very far to see the future.
Yeah.
All right. A couple of quick things as we skid towards the unfortunate conclusion. Vegas shooter. I've never noticed, I can't remember any time the press has been so terminally incurious about somebody's motives. All they needed to know was a white guy.
Bizarre. Think of the London bombings. The London bombings the next day We had every single person involved with pictures of them as when they were kids, pictures of them now, their parents, where they grew up, everything. Boston bombing, everything. We always know. We know nothing.
Yep. And it's not just the press being incurious, but it's the authorities not giving out the information. And then there's a security guard that goes missing and comes back. This is, I think Anne is right about this. This is how conspiracy theory starts.
Yeah.
Because there is something going on. And if you have no information at all about something that horrific, you fill in the gaps yourself.
Well, what do
you think happened?
When is information withheld? In Paris with the Bataclan, they were eviscerating pregnant women. They were cutting off men's testicles and sticking them in their mouths. So after the slaughter, there was a whole medieval torture session that went on with the dying people and likely the cadavers. The mayor hid that information because he thought it would start a civil war. And he thought people would get too mad, which I don't see Paris ever doing. You could shoot a Parisian in the gut and they'd say, "Oh, je m'excuse quoi, qu'est-ce qu'on va faire alors?"
Well, they'd say it in Arabic these days, but...
I don't think there is a word for sorry in Arabic.
No, I don't think so. There's, "Oh, you want more."
Yeah, they haven't invented it yet. But so maybe they're scared of a civil war. Maybe this guy was shooting conservatives because he thought country music fans represent conservatives. Maybe he'd been to the Middle East. Maybe he'd been to that mosque in Phoenix. Pamela Geller has great theories about it. It's smelling like a leftist, a jihadist, but we don't know. And that is somehow even more sinister than the idea of a shooter being a jihadist.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't raise much of an eyebrow if that were the case, but it does raise an eyebrow and we just don't know anything. Who do you most admire? Who did you look up to when you were...
I gotta say, Billy Idol.
Okay.
I mean, punk back in the 70s was about politics. Generation X show up, the band, and they want to be pretty boys. All the punks hated them because they appeared in like Teen Beat magazines. And then he goes, "I think punk's dying. I'm going to go to New York and start a new genre, dance punk." And it worked. And then he had a whole second career as a revolutionary pop star. And he's got a whole week-long set in Vegas now. He just did Quadrophenia with The Who live. Billy Idol. Can't beat him.
It's interesting. The people that I like most who talk about politics a lot, when you ask them who their influences are, they're always cultural and not political.
Well, Nick Gillespie said it best. He goes, "Who was the Speaker of the House in 1930? And I said, "I don't know." And he goes, "Who was Shirley Temple?" And I said, "I know."
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Which public figure do you despise the most?
Ooh, this is a fun one.
I know it's difficult.
There's two categories here. There's the ones that are causing damage and you feel are bad for society.
And they have to be stopped because of their
like Hitler, mass murderer, bad person, Milosevic types. And those I think are obvious. They're quantitative. You know, you could almost just apply the algorithm to number of dead bodies. Right. But then there's the ones that make your skin crawl.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily ever going to hurt anyone.
Ooh. Although I think she bestrides the world.
Her ramen noodles. I just want to crunch them.
I just want her to have a nice 3 hours in the salon and just see what's possible.
Decrunch your hair. What's in it? Gel from the 80s? Depth?
She has a cloven hoof in each of your lists.
yeah, she's good at that. That's rare, by the way. I would say the person that makes my skin crawl and gives me goose pimples in the back of my head is Lin-Manuel Miranda. When he beatboxes with Emma Watson, or they sing some really what's the word? God, I forgot. Saccharine song in an elevator where they're both in England. They describe it as being wet.
Yes,
and he's so wet, and he's got his face. He just defines the word obsequious. It just makes me vomit. And Hamilton, I mean, I'm sure it was a good play. I don't care. But I look at him and I look at his weird, he has like a camel's mouth. And I just think, I'm eating. Get him out of the room, please.
Related question.
Okay.
Best Halloween costume.
To have?
Yeah. What are you going as? What should people go as this year? The scariest, spookiest, most unsettling thing.
I like to do a costume
what is Halloween
in a costume. Like one year I was a woman dressed as a man. So I put tea powder leaves on my face and then put a wig in a fedora. Yes. And then more like slacks and flats.
There's a lot going on
and a tight blazer. And then did that thing when women are trying to be men where they have a cigar and they go, "Hey guys, I love tits. Let's watch the football game." Yeah. You know, like bad imitations.
Yeah.
But I think the best costume I've ever seen was my friend Blake and his roommate were those two conjoined twins that are joined at the head.
Yeah.
I forget their name, but they're still alive and they have their quirks and quarks. And it was them dressed as Cheech and Chong. I can't remember how they fastened their heads together, but they were like that all night.
Okay, I got it. The multi-layered stuff is good.
Yeah, you got to do a thing in a thing.
A thing in a thing.
Or just be toast. Just get some
Did you
foam
see,
and cut a face out.
There was a TMZ just did a video today or yesterday. There was a Halloween costume website that had an Anne Frank costume for children.
I did see that, yes.
And there's another one that I think either Party City or Walmart's had to withdraw, or they're getting complaints about it. The Wall. And but the way they did it was really clever. They knew they'd be processed. They're trying to get out of it. So The Wall is in a font that looks very much like the Pink Floyd album. So they say, oh, it's just Pink Floyd, The Wall.
That's good.
But of course it's The Wall.
But he's a raging anti-Semite too, so that
that doesn't help you.
The secret to Halloween is just don't appropriate other culture. So you should dress as Milo, and I'll dress as Gavin Mcinnes, and we haven't stepped on any toes.
If you had to pick one guy in the world, living or dead, to fillet, who would it be?
That's tough.
It is tough.
That's tough. See, the problem with that one, and I've been through this a million times in pubs, where you say how much to have a sex with a homeless man.
Yes.
Say it's $10 million. You're swimming in your indoor pool.
No, less than that,
and people go, this place is amazing. You have an indoor pool? How'd you get this? And you go, I don't really want to talk about it. So that thing, I guess I wouldn't be getting any money. I guess I would want it to be as small as humanly possible. Like, I don't mean a baby, but like an adult with a micro penis. I don't know if you probably know.
Sort of Judd Apatow.
You could probably hook me up with someone. Oh no, that's the funny thing about this too is I would never do that. So
you just wouldn't want to give it the endorsement.
It's like, would you rather eat a supermodel's feces or a homeless man's feces? It's a supermodel, but it's just as gross. So I wouldn't give Judd the pleasure. I guess I'd blow Bannon. I don't know. Would he want it? I'd have to do. Well,
I don't get the impression he's small.
I would do Tom Ford. It's someone who would enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think he's the coolest gay in the world, so I'll do Tom. Thanks. Second coolest gay.
Thank you. Thanks. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's great. If you had a transgender child,
no such thing.
Okay, good. Yeah,
you mean a gay?
I was gonna say raise it lovingly or dash its head on a rock, but of course you don't.
If my son said, "Dad, I'm a girl," I'd go, "No, you're a gay."
Beat it up. So, so I'm disappointed you're homosexual.
Take you to a Broadway show. I'm sad I'm not going to have a legacy through this particular offspring.
But don't worry, you've got brothers and sisters.
Yeah, we'll get you a place in the West Village. You can dance around in red leather short shorts and have a gay old time. Literally.
Last subject: Hollywood, Weinstein. Way more to come. There's loads more stuff coming. Two questions. One, Monica Lewinsky tweeted #MeToo, making me wonder, is she in on the joke? Because she seems to be trying to rebrand herself as a social justice warrior. She has said that she's patient zero in the public shaming culture and all the rest of it.
She does seminars about cyberbullying.
Right.
She was the first cyberbully.
Exactly. I'm the person who was the first victim of mass public shaming and all the rest of it. But it's little moments like her tweeting "Me Too," which makes me think
I know you're being too witty. No, you're putting your brain in her body. She's not that smart, but you probably don't understand this. But she is a Benjamin Button babe. She has aged so beautifully. I would rather have sex with her now than back when Bill was getting the cigars in there. But yes,
you probably could.
Sabo brought up a good point. The LA street artist about that. People go, "Why don't you do a Weinstein campaign?" And he goes. And I'm not saying that I believe this, but I thought it was an interesting take on it. He goes, "I have no sympathy for these women."
No.
It's an exchange, and they knew what they were doing.
I wouldn't go quite.
If they didn't call the cops after, then it was an implicit barter.
I wouldn't go quite that far, but what I would say is Rose McGowan is enjoying this way too much.
Yes.
You see how smug and triumphal is. She's playing the martyr. This victimhood kind of performance on Twitter is making her unsympathetic. And this call-out stuff, she's just getting a little bit too into it. And this is a woman, by the way, let's not forget, she was paid $100,000 to stay quiet, and she did stay quiet. To become rich,
which is immoral.
To become rich and to become famous. Yeah. And what is the calculus that these women have done? They have waited until it is more professionally advantageous to speak than to stay silent, and that's when they spoke. And then all the floodgates opened. Yeah, and all these people saying, "Oh, I didn't know what was going on." Everybody knew what was going on.
Like say you're raped as a man, and someone comes up to you and goes, "Here's $40,000 to shut up about it." You go, "Well, fuck you. I'm going to beat you up now."
Yes.
And I'm not going to accept money so a rapist goes free. Yeah. Like, I want to kill him.
How many young girls were diddled by Weinstein because Rose McGowan decided to take $100,000 and stay silent for 20 years. Give me a break.
When you catch a rat, you kill it right there. You don't let it out into the wild. Run free, Weinstein rat. Yeah. Go raping.
And I don't really believe this whole, oh, everybody was so terrified of him, because there were people brave enough to say it. Courtney Love, 2005, said, don't be in a party with Harvey Weinstein. Which brings me on to my big point. The woman stuff is very politicized.
Yep.
And it was immediately politicized. But one thing that is not up for political bargaining and not up for debate is kids.
Yes.
Corey Feldman. The women's stuff in Hollywood is not by no means, in no regard, the worst stuff. It's not the last to come. There's obviously going to be stuff coming out about pedophilia rings. And this, for me, is like this is the extinction level event for Hollywood, because it is something that is so utterly indefensible and goes so far beyond, above and beyond any kind of partisan issue. This is when the whole town implodes.
Well, with you, it was a major thing when you brushed upon it. And the
even
whole world
me,
was
when I glanced upon the subject, talking about something that happened to me and making jokes about, the priest, which, by the way, I continue to do. In paragraph 4 of the book, I said, paragraph 4 of the book, I said, as Father Michael used to say, God won't put anything in front of you can't take. But, it's not going to stop me making jokes about it. But I realized because I was accused of something I had not done, that it was in fact done to me, I realized the power of this issue, because, of course, anyone with kids understands this. Oh, yeah. I understand it
I don't even like it as a joke.
No, but this is our conversation's taken a more severe and more intense turn now, because this is something that hits everybody straight in the stomach.
Yep.
This is coming out. It's coming. I mean, someone is going to say something about Hollywood, and I was talking, whether Corey Feldman gets to it before they kill him, or whether it's somebody else. This is an extinction level event for the whole town, for the whole city.
Corey's obviously gotten a settlement. Let's say it was $250,000. He was a huge star at the time.
Yeah.
And he's got a non-disclosure in there. Corey, get sued, okay? There's someone raping children. Go and get sued. Violate your contract. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure somebody will fund your lawsuit.
Yeah, they'll buy you a house. Don't worry about it. Yeah. But pedophilia is one of those things where you talk to someone who's experienced it, and it was 16, 20 years ago, and they say, yeah, if I ever got fired, I would find him and I would go kill him. Yeah. And they know where he lives. They have him on LinkedIn, and it's always in there in their minds. And it really could be a kick in the nuts, because there's ambiguity here with Weinstein and the chick thing.
There is with the women, because there is a sort of
kids. There's no ambiguity.
There's a kind of implied contract there when sort of like, oh, this is what you have to do to make it in Hollywood, and you have a choice as a person to play that game and be an actress and be famous, do what Matt Damon is supposed to, supposedly take the compromise, go do it, or do something else.
Right.
And there are actresses who did not play the game, who didn't do it. Is it Kate Winslet? Somebody like that who he came onto, and she was like, don't even think about it. And she was never in a Miramax or a Weinstein Company movie after that,
But unbelievable.
But this is...
By the way, this goes back to ugly people. Harvey's hideous.
Oh, God.
He looks like someone drew on a potato.
You make jokes about people who look like Jabba the Hutt. It's not a joke.
It's a compliment to him. That's his goal. That's what he's trying to get for his high school reunion next year. Get down to Jabba the Hutt looks.
He had a facelift and a makeover, and he looked like Jabba the Hutt. Part of his rehab is going to be his makeover. All right. On that note, we'll pause it for today. Thank you very much for joining me. We've had some fun. We've had some not fun.
It was a very fascinating conversation. That's the beauty of the English. I think it's pub culture. They're good at talking. They're good at talking. And they can play devil's advocate. They can have sort of satirical thought experiments and go places normal people wouldn't usually go. You can discuss things.
And then there's an ecosystem of 500 American journalists waiting for you to say something they can take out of context and call you a name.
Strip of all the humor and pretend it's serious. Well, the beauty of that is they're cannibalizing themselves now, because they've run out of bad guys. We've lost our luster, I think, to them. So now David Cross is a racist because he was rude to an Asian girl 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
they're eating their own.
This is fantastic. This is good news for us. All we have to do is sit on the sidelines, laugh, and hold a mirror up to them. And say,
jeez. Oh, that's vicious.
Rape at Myers. Oh, that's so good. I wish I'd come up with that. I emailed him today after a horrible profile he wrote about me, which in 2016 went on forever and ever, on and on and on about me enabling misogyny and all the rest of it. I dropped him a little 2-line email today and just said, That's that one done. Yeah. Wait long enough, and every male feminist turns out to be a rapist. It is an immutable law of the universe.
Oh, sweet. Revenge is sweet.